Top 10 Laziest Criminals Ever Caught. Being a criminal is certainly not an easy life, and as a result, certain individuals are not cut out for a life of committing crimes as a profession. Others are drawn to or coerced into this lifestyle, but they are simply too ignorant to pull off unlawful crimes successfully because they do not have a strong moral compass, whereas the majority of people can escape it because they have a strong moral compass. Amuse yourselves with the exploits of 10 of history's most slothful criminals by watching this film through to its conclusion. Number 10. Nganga Mganga. Nganga, then 17 years old, decided to brandish a firearm in the direction of a mother who was driving her son to school in Omaha, Nebraska, on a bright and beautiful day in March. He demanded that the woman hand up her vehicle to him. She, of course, complied with his request, and the young man was going to drive away when he noticed that the vehicle had a manual gearbox, which rendered him unable of operating the vehicle. He attempted to fiddle around with the controls, but after moving the car only a few yards in a few minutes, he opted to flee on foot, but the cops were able to catch up with him soon. Number 9. Derek Mosley. When attempting to do a criminal act, careful planning is of the utmost importance, and it is crucial to the success of the act that every detail be carefully deliberated and planned. However, Derek Mosley did not place very high importance on these items before he planned to rob a gun store while only carrying a baseball bat. He carried out his plan. Given that it was a gun shop, the manager brandished a firearm at the would-be robber and held him in the line of fire until the police came. Number 8. Joey Miller and Matthew McNally. These individuals were likely responsible for the worst and least well-thought-out disguises in the annals of criminal history. They elected to draw on their faces with a permanent marker rather than utilize the masks, hoods, or balaclavas that are typically used by criminals when they perform their misdeeds. This is in contrast to the majority of criminals. Permanent marker, as its name implies, is notoriously difficult to remove, which left the guys exceedingly easy to identify while the police were hunting for the perpetrators of the crime. However, this rendered them difficult to distinguish during the commission of the crime. The two individuals gained the reputation of being dumb and dumber as a result of the stupid stunt. Number 7. Mark Smith. The act of breaking into homes can be a tiring job, but the majority of criminals are cunning enough to know that the best time to snooze is after they have returned home. However, it is not Mark Smith. In 2007, while Smith was high on Valium and intoxicated by vodka, he decided to break into a house. Once inside, he decided to cuddle up for a nap in the bed of the homeowner since he was undoubtedly experiencing the effects of the drugs and alcohol he had ingested. He was awoken by the local police and given a sentence of 1 year and 1 month in jail. Number 6. Klaus Schmidt. A man in Berlin decided in August of 1995 to rob a bank while armed with a firearm. When the tellers asked Schmidt, "Do you need a bag?" he retorted, "You're darn right, it's a real gun." This event played out like a fairly conventional bank robbery until the tellers asked Schmidt, "Do you need a bag?" Because of this, the tellers were able to determine without a doubt that the thief was deaf. After coming to this new understanding, they activated the alarm, which alerted the authorities, all the while keeping Schmidt in the dark about what had happened. Later on, Schmidt filed a lawsuit against the bank, claiming that the institution had taken advantage of his infirmity. Number 5. James Blankenship. James Blankenship was attempting to break into and rob the house that he shared with his mother during the day, but he became startled and ran to hide in the crawl space. Blankenship was in a state of complete disbelief when he was taken into custody by the authorities because he did not believe it was possible to be detained for burglary during the day. This individual believed that he could not be arrested for burglary because it was not nighttime when the crime was committed. Number 4. Darren Kimpton. When it comes to successfully carrying out a burglary, selecting the appropriate target is one of the most important factors. The best target is probably an empty house, whereas the worst conceivable target would be a home filled with law enforcement agents. The ideal target is probably an empty house. The second option, however, was the one that Darren Kimpton ultimately decided to go with. Kimpton's attempt to burglarize the residence that he had chosen as his target had previously occurred earlier in the evening, and as a result, Law enforcement agents were already present when he made his attempt. In a separate incident earlier in the day, Kimpton attempted to rob a different property, but he injured himself and ran away. Nevertheless, he left a trail of blood at the scene, and as a result, he was able to be identified in connection with that crime as well. Number 3. Ruben Zarate. A young man named Ruben Zarate, then 18 years old, attempted to rob a muffler shop in Chicago in the year 2008. Following his demand for cash, he was informed that the majority of the funds were locked away in a safe that could only be accessed by the manager, who wasn't due to arrive at the location for a few more hours. Zarate purposely caused himself some trouble by leaving his cell phone number at the business with the instruction that he is contacted once the manager was present. Naturally, the store contacted the authorities first, and then they got in touch with Zarate. After realizing that the police were already waiting for him upon his return, he got into a brief gun battle with the officers before being taken into custody in the end. Number 2. Albert Bailey. In the year 2010, Bailey and a juvenile accomplice who shall remain nameless decided to rob a bank in the city of Fairfield, Connecticut. But Bailey, to hasten the process of the crime, called the bank in advance to let them know that they were coming to rob it. This was done to speed up the process. It was clear that he wanted to give the bank plenty of time to prepare the money so that he could just pick it up and be out of there as soon as possible. Naturally, the bank decided to contact the authorities and inform them of the robbers' arrival, and the police were able to apprehend the two suspects without any further difficulty. Number 1. Dennis Hawkins. Dennis Hawkins, a man in his 40s who attempted to rob a bank in Pittsburgh, has had to be the most idiotic criminal that has ever been caught. He chose a woman's blonde wig, false breasts, and fluorescent clown pants, so it's evident that Hawkins didn't get the memo about the importance of a proper disguise that can swiftly fade into the crowd after the crime has been committed. Even worse than that, he didn't even bother to shave his facial hair before he tried to pass himself off as a woman. His attempt to pass as a woman was a complete and utter failure. As if the man wasn't already noticeable enough, he drew even more attention to himself when he tried to steal a car from a nearby gas station. The attendant at the gas station called the police, and they quickly apprehended Hawkins. As if the man weren't already noticeable enough, he drew even more attention to himself when he tried to steal a car from a nearby gas station. So this is the end of our today's video. Do you like it? Feel free to submit your response in our comments section below, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos.